Good day, good evening to you all. This is a presentation that covers cybersecurity framework. My name is Thor Boland. This is for my CYB 650 Innovation in Security Framework class. The objectives are 1. Organization, 2. The National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, for the framework for NUC, 3. The impact of legal and regulatory standards, 4. The elements of cybersecurity risks, and 5. Privacy principles. The organization I chose was NUC Incorporated. The mission of NUC is to develop applications and software to provide safe and simplistic use for people and merchandise to be transported from any destination in the world. Their vision is to be a global leader for software and application development and to refine the process how merchandise and people are transported within the global community. The framework I chose was an NIST. It is cost-effective and applicable for all phases of the organization's lifecycle, from start to finish, allowing room for growth. It also enhances the ability to manage cybersecurity with the supply chains. The NIST framework. The NIST standards have recently received improvements to meeting the compliance standards of the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, to protect consumer data privacy. The NIST SP 800-53 publication meets these requirements of Article 32 of the GDPR that successfully meets the demands of NUC Incorporated international relationship with BMW inside Munich, Germany. The NIST integrating security and privacy into system development meets the demands that we desire in connecting senior leaders, supply chain risk management, supporting security, and privacy safeguards. In order to be compliant with the GDPR, we must follow these guidelines. Article 25, data protection by design and by default. Develop and define steps to mitigate risks and measure these risks. Article 5, accountability. Ensure and adhere to data protection regulations. Article 33, notification requirements. Establish the time frame in which we must report data breaches to the public. Article 17, enhanced rights for individuals. This covers the dissemination of personal identifiable information and restricts companies from porting information to other organizations without their consent. So, noncompliance, the legal impact, and the regulatory standards. This is where organizations fail to meet the expectation of its stakeholders. For example, a data breach could tarnish your organization's reputation, or a failure to inform to public or person affected of the security breach can also violate certain laws like the GDPR and the California Consumer Protection Act, CCPA. In addition, loss of business in the realms of federal entities and international business because of the lack of trust. The additional punitive actions under the GDPR Article 82 could result in fines up to 17 million euros or 4% of the company's annual turnover. Persons who are victims shall receive compensation. To meet the growing demands to combat cybersecurity attacks, NUC Incorporated will start with the NIST Framework Core to identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover to protect the company's interests and customers' information. The NIST core structure starts with identifying the data, the personnel, devices, systems, and facilities that enable our organization to achieve its mission and vision and understand the risks needed to protect the organization's assets. For example, servers, routers, new hires, software, and physical buildings. Second, protect. Who has access to the physical and logical assets, which can be controlled by group policies, authorization policies, badges, internet use policies, and need-to-know policies within terms of network access and incorporate cybersecurity awareness education. Detect. By monitoring assets by using IDS, IPS, and penetration software to detect vulnerabilities within the network, the organization can meet these attacks before they occur. Respond. NUC will respond to cybersecurity events in accordance with the GDPR to report incidents of reported cybersecurity attacks to stakeholders and to customers in a timely manner. Recover. Both a disaster recovery plan and an incident recovery plan will be created and implemented in case the need to recover network operations to minimize downtime. Threats and vulnerabilities. Through penetration testing, we can identify security weaknesses within our network devices, machine, and software. For example, open ports, SSL, and TSO vulnerabilities found within databases. Cybersecurity awareness education to train new and existing employees on phishing, ransomware attacks, and social media attacks used to gain access to the company's network. Governing who has access by monitoring your organization by setting policies, processes, and procedures. For example, acceptable use policy, remote access policy, access control policy, and the data breach response policy. And lastly, the business continuity plan. The NIST SP 800-122 is a guide to protect the confidentiality of personal identifiable information. I will discuss 7 sections. First, collection of implementation. Certain laws will prescribe how data is obtained or disposed and how consent to this information must be released by the data subject. 2. The data quality and personal data should be relevant to the purpose for which they are used and only used for the purpose it is needed for. Data should be accurate, complete, and kept up to date. 3. The purpose specification. The purpose in which personal data is collected and should have a clear written time limit and a specified purpose. 4. Use limitation. Personal data collected will not be used or available or used for the purpose other than its original specified purpose, except with the consent of the data subject or by the authority of law. 5. Security safeguards. Personal data will be protected by reasonable security safeguards to mitigate loss of unauthorized access, destruction, use, modification, or disclosure of data. 6. Transparency about practices and policies regarding personal data should always be open. 7. Individual participation. All individuals have the right to obtain information from the data controller about his information, and the information of any data relating to the individual should be released to him within a reasonable time. And this concludes my presentation. My references are here. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, concerns, I'll be glad to answer them through my email account.